Welcome back to another episode of the Up2SumTv podcast. Today's guest isn't just a leader in the community, he's also a blueprint for what it means to completely rewrite your story. So on this platform, we talk about growth, hustle, and building something out of nothing. But today's episode hits different. It's personal for me, and it's heavy for the culture. We are sitting down with a man who has spent years standing in the gap for people when we're at their absolute lowest. Before he was a coordinator, before he was the one holding the keys, guiding people back to their purpose, he was once sitting in front of the desk, not just sitting behind the desk. Okay. He went to war with his addictions, took his hits, fought his way through the trenches and recovery. And instead of just walking away with his life, and decided to turn back around and build a bridge for the rest of us. So this man didn't just let his anchor pass him. He used it as a foundation to build an empire of second chances. Family, please welcome a true giant and a mentor who directly impacted my own journey, a living testament to transformation, Tom Swank.
Thanks, man. Wow.
My hand's sweaty.
You just threw me way up there, dude. I'm not even that tall, brother. I'm 5'8", you know?
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
I'm going to do it big for you.
Okay.
I got to. So this is going to be a 20-part interview. So this is phase one. Everybody sees the coordinator, the leader, Tom, the man running the program. But when you look back at the absolute beginning, what was the initial spark that made you want to step into community work?
I'll be honest with you, man. So when I got in trouble, I sat in jail. I ended up over to TRICAP, and I remember I used to sit with my therapist, and we'd be talking, and I just got 6 felonies, and I'm like, I don't even want to do my life, you know? And I told him, like, I don't know much, you know, I don't know nothing, you know, I don't know, I don't have an education, you know, I don't have nothing, you know, I have no money. And she was like, well, have you ever thought about being a peer recovery coach? I said, I don't even know what that is. You know, so she broke it down for me. And then she was like, you know, I told her, I'm like, well, I don't know if I can do that. You know, I'm a felon now. And she goes, they prefer that, you know? So like, I started kind of looking into, I looked at some job openings and stuff, man. And I figured like, well, there's only one thing I got a whole lot of experience in, and that's dope. You know, being on dope, chasing dope, living in that life, you know? And I was like, you know, I think that's what I'm going to do. You know, and then I started thinking to myself, like, man, I got to make my journey something I can share with people to, you know, give them hope and give them motivation. Like, you know, if I can do this, anyone can do this. Nobody's too far gone. Because I never thought I'd change, you know. Yeah, that's what pushed me over the edge.
Okay. People who don't know the full scope breakdown, the mission of your field, what is the day-to-day reality of running a program designed to rebuild lives?
So, I mean, it really starts with giving people an opportunity and a roof over their head, you know, and then we provide stability, we provide accountability, you know, and we give people a path, you know, like as a peer recovery coach, your job is just to go, look, here's the road, here's how I walk down it. Now you can do it the way I did it, or you can, you know, you can do it whichever way works for you, but find something, find a pathway. It's really just helping people find a pathway. I always tell people, like, I'm on the same road you're on. I'm just a little bit further down the same road you're on.
Right.
You know, and if you screw up, that's okay. Come talk to us and let's see what we can do to help you. You know, it can either be a speed bump on your road to recovery, or it can be the exit. That's on you. Yeah.
So, and what do you think the percent rate is, if you had to say, like, I guess just from your perspective, like the people that see their way through versus the people that don't?
So the actual statistic for people that stay in recovery long term, and I'll just speak from the meth user perspective, it's 2%. But in our program, we're around 70% of actual completion and go on to, you know, live a sober life. You know, and until we stop tracking them anyway.
Right.
You know, so we're sitting about 70% right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the average time it takes to truly rebuild someone? Just say someone drinking alcohol.
Man, I mean, so it really it depends on the person.
I know that's very broad.
It is, but that's okay. I mean, so like there's a few different kind of people that come into the program. You got your guys that come in, man, and they're cock locked, ready to rock. You know, they got in mind like what they need to do. You get guys that come in, bam, day 2, got a job. You know, day 10, they're like, hey, I'm working on getting my license back, getting a car. And by the time they hit that 90-day mark of being in the program with us, they're ready to move on to their own place. You know, some people, they got kids. You can't have kids where we live. So like they want to get off to the next place and get their kids back in their life. Some people have spouses, and some people, you know, they want to live on their own and do their own thing. But we also have a lot of people that stay for the long term. You know, they get to the end of that 90 days. Like you come into a program for the first 90 days, and say you come in with no ID, no driver's license, no birth certificate, no social security card. It takes damn near 90 days to get all that stuff.
To get all that, right?
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you've known anybody that's been through that process, you know it takes forever.
Yes, sir.
So by the time that 90 days hits, a lot of people have just got their documents and maybe got themselves a job. So we offer people to go on self-pay. Say, okay, you know, you go on self-pay, you can stay here. Like I was telling you earlier, like we got one guy that's been there almost 3 years. You know, yeah.
And they can really be there
Yeah,
that long?
yeah. As long as you pay your members, we call it a membership fee. As long as you pay that.
Membership fee is crazy.
Because you're not a renter, right?
Right.
So you don't have like all the things that come along with being a renter. You're a member of our program. So we call it a membership fee.
Right.
But as long as you pay that, you can really stay for as long as you need to. I tell people like, look, stay as long as you need to. Like, stay as long as you need to increase and have the best chance at long-term recovery and growth that, you know, as humanly possible. So if that's a year, stay a year. If that's 6 months, stay 6 months. Oh, if that's 2-3 years, stay as long as you need to. The idea here is to get people to be as successful as possible. And for some people, like there's no telling. I mean, you, me. It's different for everybody.
Right.
It depends on the barriers you got, and it depends on you know, like how long it takes you to get things in order, and it also depends on how engaged you are with your recovery.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
Man, who's blowing my mind like that? The subscription fee. All right, what's the biggest misconception people on the outside looking in have about the community programs and the people who enter them?
A lot of people come in and they think that, oh, you're trying to control my life, and that's not what it is. It may feel, and I can see why it would feel that way, but really what it is, it's accountability. You know, I tell people all the time, like, if you see a rule that you don't like, understand that there was a situation at one point or another as to why there's a rule there for that. You know,
You didn't broke it.
so somebody did something at some point and something dangerous or tragic happened, and the powers that be go, well, we need to make a rule about that. You know, what we try to do is we bring people in with as much structure as possible, and we slowly hand them back their autonomy. As you go through our program, you go through color phases, and you know, with each color phase, you get a little bit more freedom, a little less accountability. You know, and as long as you're doing the right thing, you earn that. So I mean, you know, so like I said, a lot of people, they come in, they think that, you know, where, you know, our program is trying to, you know, control their lives. That's not what it is at all. We're really just trying to help you, and sometimes it doesn't feel that way. Living and sober living is antagonistic to any man's natural state of living.
Damn.
Well, we're men. We're meant to live in our home, rule our home, and be the man of our house. When you come to a program like that, that's not a thing.
You get ruled over.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're living with a bunch of crazy other dudes, and you don't know them from anybody. You just met them 10 minutes ago. Some of them are slobs. Some of them don't know how to take care of themselves. Some of them have things going on upstairs, you know, and it creates hurdles for you. But if you're focused on yourself, you're focused on your recovery and in your journey, you set goals for yourself, that kind of stuff won't bother you. Because this is just this is a season in your life. We're trying to get you through this season to the next and the best.
You remember the first day that you met me?
I do. Yeah.
Tell them what happened.
You know, you might have to refresh my memory a little bit. It's only been like 400 or 500 people ago.
Yeah. You had that damn brace on your leg. Yeah, so
I was still on tether?
Yeah. No, you was still on tether.
Was I?
You was still on tether.
That sounds about right.
Then you had that brace on your leg, though.
Oh, yeah, when I crashed my moped at the end of the driveway. Didn't you come in? Didn't you disappear on us?
No, yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
like when the first couple of days.
I did.
And
I never got to tell you about this.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to talk about it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because like you took off for like a whole day, and then you.
Oh, no, never like that. Never like that.
I thought we lost track of you for like a whole day.
No, that wasn't.
Tell me what
That was
happened.
probably a different Chris.
As you keep
So you
talking.
remember the first day I met you, you came in, And I forgot what you had said, but like you was just sizing me up.
Yeah.
You was just making me feel so uncomfortable. And I knew what you was doing. And I was just sitting there like, all right, I'm gonna let him have it. This is his house, this is his rules, you know? And I remember we got to talking after that, and then I got a little lighter. They gave me an energy drink or something.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that would light me up, you know?
That's right.
But then I'm like, okay, they cool, they nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking I'm about to walk back in the jail program again. I didn't have nowhere to go, so for me it was like a step in the right direction because I didn't want to lean on nobody that was going to enable me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to go sleep on nobody's couch where I was going to be faced with the same circumstances anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like a chess move in a way, and it worked out. But I didn't stay my whole 90 days.
No.
I had stayed 45 days.
Yeah.
And then I went to Bill, and I told him I didn't want to be there no more. And he asked me why, and I was like, I want to see my daughter. Like, I want to be able to have my daughter overnight. And at that point, I had a place where I could go and do that. So I took my opportunity. And I was willing to bet on myself. That's what I told him. I'm confident.
I remember you said that.
I'm about to bet on me. And I was trying to find you before I left that day because I wanted to say bye.
Yeah.
I didn't want, I wanted to be able to say bye to everybody.
Yeah.
And Bill told me I was still good because I didn't, like I came and I was like, I did it the right way.
Yeah, you did.
I didn't go out and get high or something and then fuck up my, my likeliness of being able to stay in the program.
Yeah.
So my time was still on the board for me if I ever got myself in a fucked up situation. And, I completed everything on my sobriety plan except for stay sober because I kept smoking weed.
Okay. A lot of people do, man. Kelly's sober.
And the only thing I haven't completed is completely changing my environment.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
But when I leave here today, I'm leaving in Grand Rapids. So,
okay.
I'm here for like 3-4 days out the week. And that's the biggest thing for me is environment change. That's what I know I need right now to really help me. Like I always wanted to get sober, stop smoking weed, stop vaping and shit like that because I wanted to perform at my best. Yeah. I felt like it was slowing me down, burning a hole in my pocket, So for me, that's what it was.
For sure, dude.
Like I went through a lot of that. I went through a lot of shit when I left. Yeah. And for every day I was gone, I felt like it was a mistake that I left. But my daughter and the connection that I was able to rebuild with my daughter through that time, it made it all worth it.
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when you left because you did leave. I wasn't there, and I remember I had come back and that Bill had told me that he's like, well, I guess he says he's ready to go out and spread his wings and fly. I said, okay. He's like, well, he's like, you can always come back, and I kind of lost track of you there for a little while. And then you were starting to post on Facebook, but and I understand like the want and need for self-improvement. Here like 3 or 4 months ago, I was 300 pounds, and we started going to the gym every day. I didn't go to the gym every day at 5 a.m. And changed my eating habits and stuff. I started losing weight. I stopped vaping last February. Yeah. Ain't touched them since. Just put them all down. I still do little nicotine pouches in the lip,
That's what you did. You came up, you hit a vape right in front of me. Yeah. And I was like, what is he doing? Is he trying to send me into a withdrawal?
Well, and that's really that is proof right there why I quit, because I would vape anywhere. Like I didn't give a shit. I'd do it right in Walmart. Blow it on your kids, blow it on grandma. It's stupid, bro. Like, what I'm saying? Right. Disrespectful as hell. Right. And I never thought nothing about it. And like my wife would tell me all the time, like, why you gotta do that here? I'm like, don't worry about me. I'll do it just fine. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize how much of a problem it had become. Yeah. And I gave up the vaping, and then I started looking at my physical health, because like I met you around the time I messed up my leg real bad. Yeah. I couldn't walk, dude. And then I couldn't go nowhere, so I sat in my chair at home and I started eating my feelings all the time. Before you know it, like I'm in a 3X shirt on the doorstep to a 4, like up to like a 42, 44 inch waist pant. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember just looking at myself one day like, man, this ain't it. This is not it for me. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel good. I'm in recovery. I'm supposed to be living my best life right now, and I'm not doing that. So I made a change, and that sounds like what you're doing for yourself, dude. There's nothing wrong with going, hey, I need a change of environment. This, like we're from Charlotte. I don't go there. We had an opportunity to get a house for free in Charlotte. All we had to do is go take care of it.
I still go to MMRs.
Do you?
Yeah. I still go to classes. I still go to groups.
That's what's up.
They actually want to take me out of groups right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm getting too big for the groups. It's the life of the party when I'm,
Okay.
you know.
Right on.
So yeah, I just I really was about to sign off today, but obviously I count on my friend dying. I'm gonna stick in there for just a little bit longer.
You know, they have a grief group.
Do one-on-ones, or maybe find me a new program, try something new.
Sure.
Just to actively be in self-development. You know what I'm saying? I thrive off that type of shit.
I hope anybody watching this, you know, is hearing you, dude. I mean, because you've been down this road for so long. I mean, you're at the part where they're like, hey, you're good.
Yeah.
We sign off on you, but you're like, no. Look, I just had this big, huge thing happen in my life. I need the support. I think that's what messes people up a lot is they get down this road so long, they fear and feel embarrassed by it. Like, hey, I still need some support.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they should be able to do this on their own.
Yeah.
I go to counseling every month. Still, you know, my work, they make us.
That's what made me keep going to groups, bro. Because you said you still went to groups.
Yeah.
And you was like at the top of the board at that point. You in the house, you a coordinator.
Yeah.
You're doing your thing. You get to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Come and go as you leave. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and I went until we moved into our own place and I was still going. You know, and I went for a while until they told me the same thing. Like, hey, I mean, you're kind of at the end of the road here.
Right.
You know, I'm like, all right, you know, and I increased the meeting. You know, I'm a big 12-step person. So I just increased the meetings I was going to. Like, well, if I can't do this because I've just outgrown it, that's fine. Right. I'm gonna dive into this. I'm gonna stay plugged in with people because that's what I need, the support from people. People have been down this road a little bit longer than me that have struggled the same way I've struggled. The people I hang out with, they've been down the road. I had one guy, he was like sober 10 years, got in a whole bunch of trouble for some old shit. Ended up having to get extradited all the way back down to Ohio. Damn. I got another guy, like, got his life together, got a great job, everything's looking good, wonderful career, making killer money, and all of a sudden he has all these health problems. He's just getting that stuff figured, and that's like 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So like, I need to see people that are struggling and going through things like that. So I know, like, they went through all that. They didn't drink, they didn't drug, they didn't do nothing. They faced it on life's terms and like, okay, I mean, okay, like, what's the next step?
Right.
But always stay plugged into the program. Always stay clean and sober because, like, look, these problems can all come at you. And the only way to really deal with them and deal with them effectively is to stay clean and stay sober. You can't, you know, you can put booze on it, you can put dope on it, you can do all that stuff. But for me, like, it's never helped me with a solution. All it does is cost me money and cost me time.
Yeah.
And any problem I have, it needs my time and sometimes it needs my money. Yeah.
That's some hell of a shit to think about like that. All right. When you first stepped into this professional space, what was the hardest system or barrier you had to fight through to actually get the things done for your people that you seen needed to be done?
You know, it was hard to learn how to separate myself as a person in recovery and myself as a person that works in recovery, because being in recovery means I have a lot of empathy for the people that walk through the door that are, you know, been clean and sober a whole 30 days. I remember what that feels like, but there's also that other part of me that has to hold people accountable, that has to have hard conversations with people sometimes. I mean, you remember when I worked at Safe Harbor, I mean, like, having to kick people out and, you know, and have, you know, tell people like, look, you know, you got to go, you know, that was really hard for me. Cause like, I remember what that's like you said, when you came in, you didn't have nowhere to go. And that's a lot of people's situation. But my brain I just had to tell myself, like, this is a situation that they created. I didn't force them to go out and do what they did. That's why, like, when I used to do intakes with people, I explained it very clearly. Like, you screw up, you better come and fess up, because if I got to catch you through a dirty drug test or something, it's a whole different you take it out of my hands. I can't advocate for you if you lied, you know.
Tom really not for no games, yo. He's a little lighter. That's to say, it's a different feel.
It's a little bit different,
you know,
right?
Versus being on the other side of that.
Well, and so I've been out of that role for a little while too. The role I'm in now is a lot more supervisory and managerial, I guess, if you want to say. Like, the majority of my job right now is I read a lot of all the paperwork that comes through our program. I have to read all of it and make sure that it's billable and stuff. So, like, the part that you got from me was, and I was actually still figuring things out when you came there, man. I was still trying to figure out how to move in here and, one, get people's respect, keep people's respect, but also be relatable and not be an asshole all the time, because that's not effective either. But it is so hard when people first start working, working in this field, and like I see it all the time because we hire people and people go and do whatever. So we steadily get new people, and to watch them come in, it's like they always start off doing too much, and then they got to have a little conversation with them, like, hey,
that's a fact. Slow down, chill, pump your brakes.
Like look, like
don't sit on the couch and watch a movie.
Don't forget where you came from. You know what I mean? And I told people that, like, don't forget where you came from, man, because like you were just this person right here. Like I remember the day you walked through the door here,
Sure.
And I had to do that myself too. I had many conversations with my wife because she's been down this for a little longer than me. So like she was a tech, then I was a tech like a year and a half later. She was a PRC, then I was a PRC. So we're constantly having conversations. I'm telling her, these situations I'm dealing with, and she's like, well, maybe you need to think about it from this perspective. You know what I mean? And it's enabled me to be really good at the job I do now, because my job, I can't see black and white. I see the gray in every situation. Okay, like I can't just go, well, that's wrong. Well, sure it is, but why? So,
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So looking at the landscape of recovery and community sport right now, what is the biggest gap that cities and programs are still failing to fill?
Right now, I would say always the biggest gap is housing. And that seems to be getting better. We have some more programs. It seems like people are getting onto that Section 8, the subsidized housing, a little bit easier. But that is the biggest hurdle for people, is getting them independent housing. Especially you get guys that come in that are on parole, guys and women that come in and are on parole. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit of a record. It's hard to find open doors for people like that. Even when we were looking for a place, I just caught myself 6 felonies. So like, we're applying for places. We're not getting calls back and stuff. We got blessed with the landlady that we have now. We moved in a little tiny apartment. We lived there for like 2 years. Yeah. And then we moved into a house. So like we were really lucky, but that lucky break, it's not like they're everywhere.
Right.
But that seems to be getting better. The other one is vital documents for people, finding funding for people to get birth certificates, IDs. There's stuff out there, but like say like an organization in Lansing says, hey, we got funding. We're going to give people birth certificates and IDs. It runs up so quick. So many people need it, and like trying to get people, if you're not born around here, getting your birth certificate costs like 4 or 5 times more. It's to say you're born in Washington, right, for example, and to get your birth certificate from there, it takes like 2 months to get it. That's like the biggest hurdle as far as like materially the things it's hard to provide people that they absolutely need.
They stressing the birth certificate while they're in there, like, oh, I can't get to this point because of this.
Yeah, I had one guy recently, when he was born, they registered his birth with the county, but not the state. So getting his birth certificate, dude, it was a chore, and it took months. And it's just now getting to the point. And he had a job on lock, waiting. All he had to do was get his ID. And it took months, and finally got his ID, and he was finally able to get himself to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pivot for a second.
Sure.
And I want to like dive deeper into like your story.
Sure.
And you told me a lot about who you are in the brief meetings that I got to have mm-hmm. with you in that time. I watched a clip that I shared from you saying that, most people, they were willing to give up, like whatever their vice may be, but like a lot of people don't want to give up, like you said, that night out with the friends or mm-hmm. to the store, to go get a pack of cigarettes. Why do you think that is?
I think what happens is like that you're talking about like old friends and relationships and stuff. I think that comes from is like, me, when I was a drug addict, it was my whole life. All my friends were wrapped up in it. All my relationships with women, it was all wrapped up in the same thing. So when we ask someone to change their life, to give up drugs and alcohol, it's not as simple as that. We're asking you to give up your whole life. All your friends that are still wrapped up in it. You can't just be a tourist. I always try to speak for myself. I can't just be a tourist. I can't just be around that stuff and, think that everything's cool. Right. Eventually, I'm going to have a weak moment, a weak day. I'm going to do something stupid. I'm going to be right back to square one. So, like, we really hammer home with people, like, the only thing you have to change is everything. You got to walk away from those people. And maybe I'm not saying forever. I'm saying especially at first, man. I mean, you're brand new, fresh in this thing. You're weak to that stuff. It's still got a grip on you. Mm-hmm. You may be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days clean, but don't ever think it's not still inside of you. It's still inside me. And I'm going on 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's still in me.
That was the shit that reminded me, like, nobody's perfect, bro.
Never.
You know?
No.
I feel like a lot of people before you that I may have, like, learned about recovery about, like, they made it seem like they were perfect in a way.
No.
You know, and they made it seem like they,
Yeah.
you know, it's just peaches and cream, sunshine and rainbow.
Yeah. And how does that help you?
It don't.
That's right.
Because,
Yeah.
you look at it from their point of view and you see the fact that, okay, our lives were different. You was raised different than me. I went through this, you went through that, and that's that. But like you said, it don't help. But you're able to sum it up for what it is.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
Yeah. I'm not here to paint some pretty picture and tell you everything's, you know, it's not always going to be sunshine, rainbows, and unicorn farts, dude. It's not realistic, right? I still have temptation. That dope still whispers in my ear every once in a while. I just know what to do now when it does. Now I know, like, when that happens, I need to step back and look at the whole picture and go, what's going on here? Because, like, on a day to day, it doesn't whisper in my ear every day. So when it does, there's usually something else going on that I'm not paying attention to. There's usually, there might be a problem with, you know, in my marriage. Not a huge problem, but there might be something I'm lacking in my marriage. There might be something lacking in my job. There, you know, I still have things going on. I got strained relationships with family members. You know, I've been down this road so long. Like, I'm still picking up the pieces after 4.5 years. I can't stand when people want to act like, oh yeah, you went through this and I went through that. Well, sure, but you know what? You know, we're the same. Is that we are lured by temptation. We are weak to drugs. We are weak to bad decisions, and we're weak to bad impulses. That's where we're the same. We may have got to this point through different roads, but we are not different. We are more alike than we're different.
You like being the person that's asking the questions or answering them?
So, like, I'm usually, like, even on the podcast that I do, the host is Corey. He's the host of the whole thing. I'm just a part of it, right? Okay. So, like, he usually asks me the questions, and so I'm totally cool answering questions. You know what I mean? I haven't really been on, like, the host type of things. We have guests on sometimes that'll pop on Zoom, and I might come up with a couple of questions for them. But generally, it's just it's getting my perspective on a lot of different things, because, like, the guys I'm on Sober Boys with, we're very different people.
Right.
So, like, you know, there's Corey, Adam, Paul, and myself. These three guys, their perspective is very much different than mine. I was a gutter level drug addict by the time I dug myself out. And these guys, not that they didn't go through their own particular type of struggles, but they weren't what I was.
Explaining them what gutter life drug addict means.
Okay, sure, man.
I want you to tell them how bad it gets.
Yeah.
Bro. For real.
So, just before I got clean and sober, I was living in a shed over on Cleveland Street, Cleveland and Oakland.
A shed.
Yeah, I lived in a dirt floor shed with my now wife. We lived in this little shed. We had a little wood burner in there. We used to burn garbage to stay warm in the wintertime.
Wow.
And then when she got caught up, I took off and I was living in Lansing. I was living in the basement of a domestic violence shelter house, like sneaking in at night, sneaking out in the morning. Like, I got to the point where nobody wanted me around. I had nowhere, and this is January. I'm riding a moped around in January with really nowhere to go and nowhere to be. You know, I was stealing everything that to get by, like clothes and food on the rare occasion I would actually eat. I mean, I was down there, man. And I'm stealing, you know, I'm going to East Lansing and stealing mopeds and selling them to drug dealers and hookers and other drug addicts to feed my habit, you know, because I couldn't hold down a job. Every time I get a job, it would just be a matter of time before they catch me shooting up in the bathroom stall. That happened to me so many times. It would blow your mind, man. I got caught shooting up so many times. Like, you would think, like, I would learn to get better at it, but I never did. I had people kick in doors of the bathroom that happened to me at a laundromat. I was working for my dad. And the old Willow Laundry right there on Willow and Grand River, right across from the old Olympic Bowl. I was in there on lunch break trying to hit a shot, and they're banging on the door. Bang, 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 bang. I'm like, just a minute, you know. And dude, this big dude reached out and just yanked that door open, dude. And him and this little lady are like, get the F out of here. And I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I got a big rig hanging on my shirt, you know. I'm not doing nothing. I got blood coming down my arm. Yeah, it's like, you're so entitled. And I had no idea what she meant at the time. I'm like, what are you talking about, entitled? What she meant was, I thought that it was okay for me. I'm entitled to come into your business and sit in your bathroom and do drugs. And there's kids in there running around, you know, and people just trying to live their life. And here I am, like, just bringing all that evil into your business. Right. That's what she meant. I leave. I go jump in my work truck with my dad's business name, address, phone number,
Damn.
email, website on the side of it, and I take off. And this is the day I got fired. I come rolling into the parking lot. My dad's sitting outside smoking a cigarette, walking around with his hand on his hip, rubbing his face. And I pulled in and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, son, I don't even know what to fucking say right now. I don't know what to say right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, what am I talking about? He goes, what the hell do you think I could be talking about? I'm like, I don't know. That's so crazy. What do you mean? You know? He's like, get your shit and get the fuck out of here and don't ever come back here again. You're done. I'm done. I'm like, all right.
Damn.
Yeah. And I haven't talked to him in 5 years.
So you still haven't talked to him since, even after you turned around.
Yep.
But damn.
Yeah. But look, man, some people are never going to be able to let it go. Sometimes you cross and look, that could just be people with good boundaries. People with good boundaries, you can only cross that line with them so many times. Even family, where they're done, and the hard part at first for me was learning how to accept that and just, knowing that that's a situation I created. If not for me, that would have never happened. If, like my sponsor always says, is like, if you weren't there, it wouldn't have happened. And that's tough. And I have that type of relationship with my own daughter. We're on no contact right now because she's mad at me, and like we go like this, where 1 minute we seem to be okay. And then, I do something that she feels like is insensitive or something. And she's like, no, I'm done. We're no contact. And so like my life isn't perfect, but the one thing I can tell you is like, I'm just going to keep going forward and keep doing what I'm doing. Because that's the only way that it's ever going to get any better, if it gets any better. But I also had to resign myself to the fact that this just might be the type of relationship I have with my daughter for the rest of my life. But if that's the case, that's because I created that. No one else is to blame but me. I think taking responsibility in this thing is probably the most important thing that you can do. So you can't, you can't blame your parents because you're a 30-year-old drug addict. You can blame your parents if you were a drug addict till the day you turned 18. But once you turned 18, you're a full-grown, assembled adult with a baseline set of principles, which is we don't rape, we don't kill, we don't steal. We know those things are wrong, so we don't do those things. You can't blame your parents after that.
Nope.
Now you're responsible. Yep.
At what point, was it like, okay, this shit's enough, like I'm ready to get sober? Like, what was that for you?
It was a 12-year prison sentence they tried to hand me. And I remember thinking like, man, that's how far gone I am. Because I didn't think never for a minute I think I was in that much trouble. So I got arrested. I used to run from the police all the time here in Lansing on mopeds. And I got away all the time because there's places they can't go. So I just go hit the river.
And weaving.
Yeah. I go, so the river trail is the big secret, right? Because you go on the river trail, they can't chase you in the car. They damn sure ain't gonna chase you on foot. So I would just take off. Well, so I pulled that same stuff in Charlotte. But Charlotte, they're a little bit of a different breed out there. Mm. They do not stop chasing you. When they decide they're going to take you to jail, like at one point I had 9, they were staying, I'll be going down the road on this old moped. It's January 14th of 2022 when all this happened. I got my hands in my gloves, going down the road. And the cops are like, pull over. I'm like, fuck you, screaming at him and shit. And I ended up crashing, going around an icy curve, and I hit the wrong brake, and down I went. And so I went to jail. When they arrested me, Charlotte wasn't taking people in because of COVID. They had a COVID outbreak. But I had all these warrants up here from running from Meridian Township with her. We took off and ran from them. They caught her. I got away. I broke into a body shop, stole a car, and took off. And so they take me to Lansing. And when I go to court, I go back for was the second or third appearance. And the public defender comes to me, is like, yeah, so they're offering you 12 years. I'm like, 12 years? I'm like, 12 years for a property crime? He's like, for a few property crimes. I'm like, right on. Nope, not doing that. I was like, I'm not doing that. So I went back, and then so I had court again. And so I told the lawyer, I said, listen, I'm not doing 12 years, dude. I'm not doing fucking 8 years. I'm like, look, if you can get me anything less than 3 years, I'll take it. I'll take it. I've never been to prison before. I can't see how I'm going to do all this time where this is my first felonies. I said, this just ain't making sense to me. So we get through court. I go back to my cell. I'm there for a month. And then all of a sudden on a Monday morning, they called me out. They're like, hey, Swank, you got court. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, nope, you absolutely have court. The judge and the lawyer want to see you. So they take me and I get on Zoom and my lawyer pops on. He's like, listen, this is as good as it's going to get. It will get no better than this. They're going to take prison off the table and they give you a deferred sentence and put you on Swift Assure. That means you got to go to TRICAP. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, I'm like, what's TRICAP? You know? And he's like, it's rehab. I'm like, oh, I've been rehab 100 times. I go to rehab, you know. So they sends me to TRICAP. So I get done there and I go back and I'm telling the fellas at the pod, like, what's going on? Like, hey, they're telling me I got to go to fucking TRICAP and shit. I'm going to be on Swift Assure. They're like, ooh, bro, Swift Assure. That means you're swiftly and surely going to prison. And I'm like, no. See, no. They're going to get me like that. So this goes on. And then I ended up sitting there for like 2 months. I had charges in Eaton County that I forgot. Like, not that I forgot, but I didn't understand that they were going to make me go out there and deal with that before I went to TRICAP. So I got there, they bond me, send me back to Ingham. I ended up going to TRICAP. So I get to TRICAP. These mugs in court told me 90 days, like 90 days TRICAP. The judge said it. My Swift Assure attorney said it. My public defender said it. The probation officer said 90 days. I get out there. I'm like, yeah. They're like, what's your name? I'm Tom Swank. I'm here for the 90-day OMSP program. They're like, there is no 90-day OMSP program. There's a 150-day OMSP program. I'm like, no. I'm here for the 90-day program. They're like, what's your name again? I'm like, Swank, Tom Swank. And they're like, yep, you're here for the 150-day OMSP program. So I go, I'm like, well, just show me my bunk. So I get to my bunk. I'm like, is there a phone here? I show them my phone. I call Amber. I'm like, you don't believe the bullshit they're on. They're on some bullshit here. They're telling me 150 days. And she's like, okay, well, what the fuck else you got to do? Right. She goes, listen, here's the deal. You need this. You need this right now. Your life is fucked up. You got nothing else going on. You need this time. And she's like, if you leave, I'm done. I've loved you from afar this long, and I'll continue to do that. But if you don't make that 150-day program, you don't finish it and complete it, I'm done. I'm like, okay, fine. I hang up the phone. I'm like, fuck that bitch. So I called my sister.
Oh my gosh.
I did. I called my sister. I'm like, you don't believe the bullshit they're on over here? They're telling me 150 days. And there was no time for Amber to call my sister and tell her exactly what Amber just said to me. She's like, what the fuck else you got to do? She's like, you're a bum, man. You ain't got no money. You ain't got nothing going on. You ain't got no place to live. You ain't got no job. Like, you need this. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, look, if you leave there, I'm done. I'm not, there's no bus tickets. I'm not sending you no money. I hope you're the little fucking meth head friends who is going to come pick you up from Saginaw because I'm not doing it. And I'm like, okay, all right. I hung up that phone. I stomped over to my bunk, laid down. I'm like, this is bullshit. Everybody hates me. You know, I was so fucking pissed, dude. And I'm like, I'm going to stay here 3 days. And if shit ain't sweet in 3 days, I'm out. I'm out. 3 days later, I'm like, all right, like, what's 150 days? Like, 150 days is a long goddamn time.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up getting out of there a few weeks early. I mean, I wasn't exactly, I got in a lot of trouble while I was there. It's like, I get bored and I do stupid shit, like stealing coffee out the kitchen and selling it in the pod for cigarettes and shit, you know, like, it's like old dumbass thinking that just like, it takes a while to get that stuff out of your brain, man. You know, so yeah, I mean, and that's how I got through that whole process. But I'll tell you what, TRICAP in Saginaw, Michigan saved my life. I had a great therapist there who talked me through all kinds. She's the first time I ever talked to her, she let me have a video visit with Amber, which is not really a thing there, but she's like, I'm gonna let you use my phone once a month. You can get a 30-minute video visit with your girl, or your mom, or whoever you want to call. Someone call my girl. So I called her, you know, and I'm like, baby, sweetie, oh my God, when I get home, I'll be the best man ever. You know, that kind of stuff. You know how you do. Hell yeah, man. I mean, I got as smooth as velvet in that motherfucker, dude. I thought anyway, because I hung up the phone. This lady.
You got away with your words, bro.
Dude, my therapist is an old SWAT team member from Saginaw area. She used to do undercover work and stuff. She's got those gold teeth and stuff. I hang up the phone. She's like, you know, you're a bum. I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm a bum. She's like, you're a bum? She goes, man, that girl's not playing with her life. And if you want to be in her life, you better get on board with what she's got going on. Because if not, then the best thing you can do is never talk to her again. And she's like, but you're a bum. You got nothing to offer her. She goes, but that little thing between your legs. I'm like, damn. I'm like, who the hell are you talking to like that, man? She got me fucked up with somebody else. You know, she used to take me for a walk like, we do a video visit and she'd take me for a walk up and down the road. And she was just like, she put real knowledge on me, dude. She was like, you know, you want to have a substantive life and you want things to be better for you. You got to do better. Like, what are you going to do? She's like, what? She always asks me, like, what's your plan? I'm like, I don't know, go back, get a job. She goes, where are you going to get a job? I said, I don't know. So I'm a felon now. I guess I'll be working at McDonald's making French fries for the rest of my life. She goes, that's no life. So like she really started, like, for the first time in my life, I had goals. And I really try to drive home having goals with people. I think that's so important. I think people, like, they have this big grandiose plan. Plans should start so small. People come into our program, they're like, oh, I want a Hummer, I want a house, I want a girl with a fat ass, I want all the things, right? It's like, well, sure you do, but how you gonna get there? Like, let's talk reasonability. So she really gave me a grounded plan and some real goals. And for the first time in my life, I was making goals and completing goals. It was the best feeling in the world, and that's what I want for every single person I interact with.
Well, thank you for giving me him. For real.
Yeah, she had a real hand in her bag because I didn't get here by myself. That's for sure.
For real.
Way she drove me. So. Still working on my license. You know what I mean?
So what is the mental shift required to go from focusing entirely on saving your own life to taking on the responsibility of helping save others?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I completely skipped like 10 questions. I'm going to scroll back, but
that's cool.
Russian roulette.
Sure. So you can never stop focusing on saving your own life and keeping yourself good. Because I can only do the job that I do and work in the field that we work in by keeping myself good all the time. I got my routines, the things that I do for my recovery. I still go to meetings every single week. I go to church. I go to Bible study. I have the things that I do that help keep my recovery in line. And it always has to be the focus. Your recovery always has to be the focus, because without that, you won't have anything else. I think people get down this road a little ways and they forget that recovery is what got them here. You can never.
Oh my God, that's embedded in my head.
Dude, you don't get to move past
your way got you here.
Yeah, your way got you here. If your way worked, I tell people all the time, like, you can't do this shit on your own, because if you could have, you would have. A long time ago, when you lost the first job, when the first girl took off on you, the first time your car got repossessed, the first eviction notice nailed to your door. You know what normal people do? Normal people go, wow, this shit's fucking my life. I gotta stop. I have a brother who was he's an Iraq war veteran, and he came home from war, and we were doing dope together, and we were doing it all the time. And one day, like, we started a little business together. We started working together, and I was working in Benton Harbor, and I showed up to work one morning. He said, hey, that stuff's messed up my marriage. I got to stop doing it. I'm done. He goes, if I'm going to be done, you got to be done, because you can't be doing it around me if I'm going to be not doing it. So, like, you got to stop doing it. I'm like, absolutely. I got you. I'm like, I'm going to run to the tool trailer real quick, and I'll be right back. So, like, it was like a month later, man, he ended up basically firing me from my own company. Yeah. So, I mean, normal people, man, when we don't have that luxury. Our brains just, we know that release. And so, like, that's what we're always going to run back to. You can't ever just leave recovery behind. It's not the way it works. It's always going to be a part of your life. It may not be your whole life. Like, my whole life is recovery. I work in it. I live in it. I'm married to it. My whole life is recovery. That's how I had to do it, because I finally figured out that's where I was fucking up, because I wanted that normal life. I wanted to have the wife at home and the kids in the yard and that brand new car in the driveway and all the things that we all want to have. But I didn't want to be associated with being in recovery, because I didn't want people to think I was weak, and I finally understood that it doesn't make me weak. What makes me weak is keep going back out and doing this shit all over again. I've burned my life to the ground and rebuilt it so many times in my life. It was stunning, so yeah.
Man, you giving me a good insight right now, okay, bro. For real.
I'm glad.
All right, hold on. Let me brace myself. I need it today, bro. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
For real. Yeah. You've been open about your journey as a recovering addict. When you look back at your darkest moments, what was the definitive moment? Oh, no, I already said that. My bad. Mm-hmm. All right, hold on. How did going through the fire of addiction shape your perspective on human resilience? What do you know about survival now that you couldn't see back then?
If I'd have known then, I know now. I guess the only thing that really would have changed for me, bro, was feeling hopeless, because there was always hope. It was there. I just couldn't see it, and what I know about human resilience at this point is people that are in recovery, especially early recovery, are some of the strongest people. When you're still half gripped by that shit, and you're half gripped by this promise of this better life, you have never been more torn between two worlds than you'll ever be in your whole life. People that go through that and stick in here and stick on this thing, I have so much respect for, because I know what it's like. You know, I mean, I know, especially like if you're in Lansing, recovering in Lansing, and just 2 months ago you was walking the river trail doing dope and shit. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to go from our building to the CATA station, get on the bus, go do what you got to do, come back to the CATA station, because that's, I mean, you know, that's where it all goes down. You know, and that takes so much strength. Recovering addicts are some of the strongest people, you know, that probably will ever walk the face of this earth, at least mentally, emotionally. And at some point, like once your life is ready spiritually, you know, to go through that and to come out the other side, you know, I have an immense amount of respect for that. You know, I didn't see it at the time when I was going through it. For me, it was just like, Jesus Christ, you know, like every time you go down there, you're like, geez, what's up, Swank? Like, nothing, man, I'm cool, you know. You see how I look like I had a shower in the last couple of weeks? I'm not hanging right now, you know.
Sure. So, for anyone listening, currently trapped in that cycle and feels like they're running out of chances, what is the one thing they need to hear today about the reality of getting clean?
I'm just going to be very honest about it. One, don't give up. If you've been quitting, keep quitting. Because I had to quit so many times, man. I can't, dude, I would stop sometimes for an hour. Sometimes I'd stop for a day. Sometimes I'd stop for 3 days. And I knew that there was only one logical conclusion to this. Well, maybe two: prison or death. You're going to end up locked up for the rest of your life. You're going to end up dead somewhere. You know, the one thing I can tell people is that it is possible. You can't do it by yourself. Don't be scared to ask for help. I didn't get as far as I am by myself. Nobody I know that has any amount of clean time and has any amount of recovery did this by themselves. We all had help. I didn't get where I am by myself at all. And you can't either.
Straight up. Stop trying to isolate. All right, so we're going to wrap it up.
Okay.
As a coordinator, you have a balanced, strict rules. You have a set of balanced, strict rules, structure with deep empathy. How do you know when a participant needs tough love versus when they need grace?
So,
Got some hitters for you, don't I?
bro, you said you did, and you ain't lying, bro. You came with them loaded. The excess amount of grace is I believe it's for people when they first come in. If you're coming into a program like the one I work at, you get a lot of grace, and you should. You don't know what you got. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's what. You don't know what you can and can't do. You usually learn that through the process of being in a program. You know, if you screw up somebody, you know, if you're new, it's usually like, oh, man, you can't do that. Like, you know, and I'll do that a few times. But at some point, like once you've been there for a little while, my expectation of what you should and shouldn't be doing is going to change. You know, like the people on my caseload that, you know, that I care for are people that have been there for so long. Like, I don't want to say I don't have any empathy for people that make mistakes at that juncture, but there's definitely more accountability than there is grace. Like, bro, you've been here. You know what the expectation is. And not to say that there's not grace for some people. That we had somebody who's been there for well over a year recently. He had a little relapse, and, you know, we worked with him. You know, if you come to us and you tell me the truth, you're going to get a lot more grace from me if you make me work for it. If you make me, you know, interview you and grill you and drag it out of you, you know, and the same thing I used to tell the guys at Safe Harbor, like, I cannot advocate for you if you lie to me. I'm not going to look like a fool to my boss by trying to advocate for you, then just to find out that you are bullshit, me and them and this person, you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to make me look like I'm incompetent and I don't know how to do my job. And that's never going to be a thing. So if you fucked up, come talk to me. Right. You know, I tell people all the time, if you screw up, come fess up, man. It's really not that deep. We don't expect, you know, we're not going to turn you into, you know, a church choir overnight. Right. That's not the thing. You know, there's a lot of underlying, like, bad attitudes, bad habits, bad thought processes that have to wear out and will out over time. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't get where I am. Like, dude, when I first came home, we'd be walking through a gas station parking lot, be a running car at a gas pump. And we were walking together one day, and I'm walking along, and I just stopped. And I'm looking at this car, and she stops and she goes, "What are you thinking right now?" I'm like, "Nothing." She goes, "It better fucking be nothing. Are you crazy?" I'm on tether. Like, I'm on felony probation in 2 counties. You know, and she's like, "What are you thinking?" I'm like, "I don't know, man." You know, it's like, that thought, that kind of stuff, it took time to get that out of my system. To go into stores and not think about boosting with a pocket full of money. I'm not broke. What's wrong with me? What am I doing here? I'm still a damn candy bar. What am I, 5?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just dumb shit like that. It's just so weird. It's that survival mode that we got to unlearn. And you got to work to get that unlearned from yourself, because it's easy to stay attached to that. We get people in all the time. They'll still be dumpster diving and all that crazy stuff. And it's like, bro, like, how are you going to move past that life if you're not moving past that life? Like, you got to let that shit go. Mm-hmm. But we give people empathy. Like, we understand, you've been out in the streets dumpster diving and eating out of trash cans for the last 20 years. You may still have some real bad habits by the time you leave us, even if you stay for a year or two. Mm-hmm. But, we're going to work with you through that. But that empathy piece comes with accountability. Right. I can have empathy and still hold you accountable.
You're going to like this next one.
I do.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
You can hustle a hustler, and you can be as someone who knows the trenches, but how does your lived experiences help you cut through the walls that participants try to build up?
It's mostly like, I never really had a problem getting along with people in my life. And so I think the relatability, I always tell people, like, I talk to people for a little while and I tell them, look, I know what I look like, but don't forget, like, I'm from out there just like you're from out there.
Right.
I used to be out there doing the same shit. Like, I know what I look like today, but I didn't always look like this. Right. When I came in, I was wearing the stained up jeans and the fucked up FUBUs and all that shit. Like you got going on. That was me too. I was out there walking the river trail, scoring dope. I was down at the Caddy Station hustling. I was doing all the same shit you were doing. So we are the same. I think it's just making sure that you're relatable to people, and don't ever let somebody run away with the thought that maybe they think I'm up here and they're down here. Just because I may have some nicer clothes than you doesn't mean that I'm better than you. It just means I've been doing this longer. Sure. You stay in this as long as I have, you'll have nice clothes too. Right. You'll have nice shoes on your feet too. I mean, it's all in what you want to do with it. This is what I want to do with it. I didn't get into this to look like shit. I didn't get in this to live like shit. I live a very comfortable life, and I'll be honest with you, I got as far as I am today just by being myself. I don't feel like I work harder than anybody else that I work with, or in the field that I work in. I don't feel like I work any harder than anybody else. I'm just who I am. I'm just an honest person. I don't bullshit anybody. I don't lie because I can't. I don't like the thought of lying and having to remember the lie and remember to lie about the lie. You know what I'm saying? I'll just tell the truth. Like, I do these little podcasts and stuff, like, with you and the Sober Boys and stuff. I'm very upfront about myself. I tell people, like, I was a woman beating, abusing, lying piece of crap. I was a thief. I was a manipulator, a user. I would take from you until I can't take anymore. And I might even try to get some extra after you're done giving me. That's just who I was. I was a lowlife. I was the kind of person I wouldn't allow to stand on my front porch today. And I think that keeps me relatable to people. And because I share like that with people, I think it helps people be able to open up to me.
Learn to love the stranger that was once yourself.
That's right, baby.
For real.
All day.
That's why I love you, bro. Yeah, that's why you're here today. That's why I asked you. I could have asked anybody.
I appreciate it, man.
Feel me? Because I had a couple people,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, man.
We got like 5 more questions or something.
Okay.
Like that, somebody start texting me. I lost my account. Okay, so what is the single most rewarding success story you've witnessed from someone passing through any kind of program that you've helped facilitate or coordinate in any kind of way?
I mean, stories like yours, dude.
Straight up.
Yeah, straight up, man. Look at you out here doing it, dude. Keeping your life together. You're still going through it, You know what I mean? And still here to talk about it, brother. I see people all the time that, get down the road a little ways, and sometimes I lose track of them for a little while, and then they end up popping up on me. You got to remember that we're the 2%. We're the ones that make it down the road more than a year or two. That's just the reality of it. So like you can't think in this job, you can't think of wins and losses. You can't do that. My job is to help you, show you the road, and then let you go.
Because even if they don't work their program, you still did your job.
Well, your successes aren't my successes, and your failures aren't my failures.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the autonomy part of that is like giving people back their autonomy while they're in these programs. That means just that. That means whatever they do with that, it's not a reflection of me, what kind of person I am, how good I am or aren't at my job. It's not that. You can't think like that, or you won't be in this for very long. You do what you can. You do your best to help somebody, and then you just let them go. And if they do go back out, you just say the little silent prayer I always say, which is, God, please, I hope they make it back. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. If you go into Rise right now and you look on the ceiling in the community room, there's stars all over the wall up there. Those are people who didn't make it back. There's a lot of them. That's just the reality. We just lost a coworker here about a month ago. Former coworker of ours, 37 years old, leaves behind a 3-year-old little boy. Did a little speedball and went to sleep and never woke up. And then I have to look at situations like that and go, but for the grace of God, there go I. Because I'm not better than that. I'm not. I'm one bad day, one good day, one down middle of the road day, one bad choice away, and that's me. Because I don't know if I have another one of these left in me. Maybe I do. I'm not trying to find out. You know what I mean? It took a lot to build my life from the little dirt floor shed on Cleveland and Oakland to where I am now. And I'm not even I'm not even all the way to where I want to be. I got goals, I got dreams, I got aspirations. Back then I couldn't even dream of the life I have now. Like, I knew that my life could be better, but what it is now, I could have, if you'd have told me this would be my life 4.5, almost 5 years ago, I'd have laughed dead in your face. I'd laugh dead in your face, like, no, that ain't for me. I figured I was going to die this way. I figured at some point I'd probably end up going to prison, maybe get my life together a little bit, but I'm going to come back out. And my thought was, I'm going to figure out how to do drugs the right way. That was always my thought. It was never not drugs. It was always, well, I keep fucking this up. I'm the problem. I got to figure out how to do this the right way. That was never going to happen. Yeah, I found myself getting weaker, man. I don't think I would be alive today. Everything happens for a reason. I think that I think God intervened in my life, and some people have that God moment where they can hear God, see God, and they know that it was a God moment. It took me a while to realize that God was saving me for something. Maybe for what I'm doing now, maybe for something that I have yet to do. I don't know, but I was spared the life that I deserved.
I like that.
Yeah.
I ain't never heard none shit like that. That's different. That's some different. So how were drugs introduced to you?
So I was introduced to meth by a family member when I was pretty young. I was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And I started messing with it. So back then I was on Adderall because I had ADHD, and I couldn't get Adderall. So this person introduced me to meth. It's like, here, you just do a little bit of this. It works just like Adderall, and it did for a little while. But meth and Adderall, while they're very similar, they're not the same. So I messed around with it for a little while, and I would do it, then I wouldn't, then I would, then I wouldn't. And I kind of went like that with meth for a real long time. I always smoked weed. I drank pretty excessively in my younger years. And it was probably around the time I had a girlfriend, and she got pregnant, and I completely changed my life. I was smoking weed, drinking, and partying pretty heavily, but she got pregnant, and I changed my whole life. I got a normal job, got everything together. I'm getting ready to have this baby. And then when she was like 5 or 6 months pregnant, the baby died. And that was a really tough thing to go through. And I was less than present for that. And it affected our relationship. She has this miscarriage, goes through all that. And 2 months later, I walked in and caught her in bed with another man. I lost my shit completely. I almost killed him. I would have killed her. She was real fast though, and got behind a locked door, and I couldn't get to her. But if I could have got to her, I probably would have killed her. I just lost it, dude. And after that, I just felt like life was so unfair. Life was so unfair to me. How dare life? I'm finally doing all the right things, and this is the one thing that I wanted, which was to have another kid. I wanted to have it with this woman who at the time I was very much in love with, and it just felt like God turned his back on me, and I just didn't care anymore. And I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna do what everybody else gets to do, and I don't get to do that. And because when I'm doing the right thing, my life falls apart. No, I don't care. So I started doing meth all the time. I met up with a couple of old buddies I used to party with, and gave them jobs. I was working for a roofing company. I'm like, come work with me, man. Because now I got the supply right on tap. You know what I mean? I'm picking them up for work every morning. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of progressed from there, man. I was using every day, and then I would use, get myself in a bunch of trouble, get a bunch of warrants. I'd run down to Georgia, my sister's house. I'd hide out, clean out, come back to Michigan, take care of my warrants, get everything all straightened around. And then like, as soon as I'm off trouble, I'm right back to it again and use. And I did that. That was like the pattern for me for a long time. And, then like through some like wild circumstances, I ended up at sober living. Then I ended up leaving sober living, running on probation. I took a job working out of state a bunch. And then I ended up meeting Amber. Well, I met another girl. I moved in with her in Charlotte. And then I met Amber, because she was my drug dealer. And
but damn,
yeah,
that's a hell of a story.
Yeah, dude. So I was living with this chick, and my buddy Aaron lived right next door, and I used to go to his house, and I'd score dope. I'd go over there one night, and I was like, hey, I need to get back. He's like, man, there's this chick, man, out selling dope right now, dude. I'd really like to get her over here. I was like, sure, whatever, So he calls her up, and she walks in the door, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I was like, yeah, shit. So we hung out for a little while, and I did, got what I needed. And I went home and broke up with my girlfriend. And I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and break up with you now, so I don't cheat on you. Because she was a good girl. She had never done nothing to me. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one of those relationships where I had like, bitch, I'll show you. It wasn't like that. She wasn't a bad person. She was so bad. I don't understand. I'm like, if I stayed any longer, you're gonna understand, because I'm gonna end up cheating on you. I don't want to do that to you, so I'm just gonna pack up my stuff and go. And she MF'd me through a bunch of shit. So Mexican girls, man, they're crazy. Dude. They will.
Ended up being for the best, though. Ended up being there for the best.
Well, and dude, you wouldn't think so, because we met each other. I tell everybody, like, we were in the storm of life, falling down to the ground, and we grabbed onto each other and rode the rest of the way down, because it wasn't a fairy tale, dude. I mean, we got together, and she was pregnant, and I go to jail for 5 months. While I'm in jail, she gives birth to this baby. We give up for adoption, and I get out of jail. We come up to Lansing. We were living in all these little fly-by-night motels all around Lansing, like, the Penway, Apex, and all them little shithole motels around Lansing. We end up getting into a bunch of trouble together. We're beating on each other. We're stealing from each other. Just the crazy shit, And she ended up getting busted. We ran from the cops one night on a moped. We take off into the woods. They catch up with her. I got away. So she ends up in jail going to rehab. She left rehab, came back with me for like a week. She got picked up again for shoplifting, went back to jail again. She goes back to rehab. And then when she gets out, she comes to where we work now, which is Rise. She comes to Rise. I'm still using, I'm telling her like, oh, I quit, baby, I swear. But I showed up in a stolen U-Haul to pick her up for Christmas. And we ended up going out to Charlotte, and I kept her out way too late, and she almost got kicked out the program. And it was like 2 days later, I talked to her. Did I talk to you again until I went to jail? No. So like, this is Christmas. 2 weeks later, I get picked up. They throw me in jail. I call her, and she's like, hey, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And so we break up. I didn't talk to her for months. And really? No, so like, we didn't speak for months. And while I'm in jail, I'm like, man, this shit's got to change, man. I can't. You know what I realized, bro? I was all alone. First time in my life. Nobody wanted me around. I couldn't get an answered phone call from my sister, my mom, my daughter, my girlfriend, none of my buddies. I mean, I was completely alone. That's what I had come to. Like, nobody wanted me around. My mom scheduled a visit with me in jail. I'll never forget this, man. She picks up that video visit when I was in jail and doesn't say a single word to me. Just looks at me for 20 minutes. Never says a word. My stepdad walks in the camera view. He does that, rubs right here on his head like he does when he's stressed out, and walks out the camera view. Nobody says a word. And that's when I realized how far gone I was. Because like, the look on their face, I couldn't see it. Like, they were like, oh my God. My mom used to tell me, she's like, you look like a ground rat. I'm like, thanks, Mom. But I realized I was all alone, and I knew I had to change something. And I told myself, like, I would rather die than continue on like this. I cannot do this anymore. Then the more like clean time you get, and that poison starts getting out of your brain, that's the worst part. That's where people fuck up and relapse, because you get all that regret, shame, guilt, remorse, all comes on at one time. Right. And it's so bad. It's so bad, man. Like, you realize what a mess you've made and how far gone you are. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to the other side of this. But I decided, I'm like, well, even if I don't, I'm going to die trying, because I can't do this shit anymore. I had resigned myself to the fact that I may never speak to some of my family members again. I may never speak to my own daughter again. I may never speak to Amber again, but, I heard somebody say something once, if you truly love a person, you want them to be happy, even if that's not with you. And that really stuck with me. And that's the decision I made with Amber, when I finally stopped trying to call her 20 times a day. I guess I got the pick. I guess she ain't picking up. Maybe she don't have minutes on her phone. I don't know. But that's really like the moment where I was like, I told myself, if I'm going to go to prison, I'm going to go to prison with a clean head. I'm gonna figure out how to work this recovery thing in prison, do my time, get out. And I guess I'm gonna figure out life from there. I just figured anything's got to be better than this. I can't do this shit anymore. I'm like, man, I'm 30. At the time, I was 37 years old. I'm about to turn 42. And 37 years old, I ain't got nothing to show for my whole life. Nothing.
So you basically knew you was never going to work a regular job once you started working your program?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Like you was like, it's not going to be normal life.
I worked at Petcom when I first come home, because you can't just come right out of rehab and go right to work. You got to have 2 years under your belt. Well, so my first year was in jail and in TRICAP. That covered my first year. So I got home and I got a job working at Petcom. I was working they make military uniforms. I worked there for 9 months and I just got really lucky. I got really lucky. Like if anybody's watching this and you're interested in working in the recovery field, you want to have at least close to 2 years recovery. I just got really lucky in the agency when I started working for MMRS. They were really hurting for people. And so I got in working third shift at the men's rehab, man. And I just worked my way from there. I did that for some months. And then I ended up over at the Safe Harbor on first shift. And then I became their first ever non-bachelor level case manager. I have a GED. Generally, you have to have a bachelor's degree to have that job.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
So you beat the fucking odds.
Yeah, well, because I know where all the resources are, man. That's the other thing. You want to do this kind of job, you got to know where the resources are at.
You did your homework.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm from here, and I did all my whole recovery I did here. When I came home, I didn't have nothing. They managed to help me get a birth certificate. The whole time I was at TRICAP, they're supposed to make sure you have the ID, social, birth certificate. I walked out there with a birth certificate. And so I come home, I got my homeless ID, and I just took the steps, you know what I mean? So, you just got to know the resources. Really, that's your whole job as a peer recovery coach, is help these people with some resources. So you do got to do your homework. You got to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in your community, where you can take people to get help with food, clothes, vital documents, jobs, and I stay plugged into all that stuff through a bunch of the connections I've made. Yeah.
Now, based off of where you at in your career right now and what you see currently, what do you feel like Lansing specifically needs more of when it comes to resources or the proper guidance or programs? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of programs out here. And what I've grown to learn about the programs is obviously you do have to be really working your program, but then you have, like you said, the 2% that break through. Once I realized that was a thing, now I'm trying to figure out how to walk through that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Walk through the whole, okay, I beat the odds, now what?
Sure.
And that is a motherfucker right there.
Yeah.
That shit is hard, bro. Because I've learned that healing is like an endless dance.
Amen to that.
That shit just keeps going and going and going and going. Even as soon as you think you're done, you got some more shit to go.
Never, because there's always that next thing, right? There's always that next thing to heal through, to get through. As far as Lansing, I really
does that make sense though? The way
okay. Yeah, 100%. So I feel like Lansing's really heading in the right direction when it comes to helping people in recovery. We have a lot of resources.
Being in recovery showed me that.
It
took me out of that victim shit.
Yeah, because you're not a victim. You're finally at the point now where you can be the master of your own destiny. But it's not easy. It's designed that way. You're not supposed to just be able to walk up and get everything you need to get. If that was the case, then everybody would be doing it. There's some hoops you got to jump through. There's agencies all over the place that help you with housing and food and clothes and vital documents and all the things that you need. But really, what it's going to come right back around to is you. What do you want to do for yourself? Because you can get all those things and have all those things and still not have a shit for a recovery.
Yeah.
You got, and there's over 500 meetings in Lansing every week between AA, NA, CA, Celebrate Recovery, Smart Recovery. There's over 500 meetings a week in Lansing. Yeah. So I think as far as recovery goes, we got it unlocked. I think we're moving in the right direction with resources. The one resource that we used to have that we don't anymore was those government cell phones, man. That's the one. That is the one right there. We used to have this one lady, we called her Mimi with the free phones. And we used to be able to call her and she could do it right over the phone. Boom. And she'd have a phone at your door within 7 to 10 days. And then that's huge for people that are out looking for jobs, trying to get doctor's appointments, trying to keep all their shit straight, but it's just a program. It's a bygone program. They don't have it anymore. And so like a lot of these agencies, what they're doing now is they're trying to grant write for them. And they're trying to get some grant money in because they still offer them, but they're not free anymore. They're not much. You can go on and get an Obama phone for $10 or $15. It's that little basic phone. Mm-hmm. The first thing I tell people when they get it, like, don't download anything on this phone. Don't download because it's not built for that. Just use it. Use it for what it has on it. Don't put Tetris on there. Don't put none of that stuff on there. You're gonna mess up your phone. But that's just the one big hurdle I see. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so this one go back to you.
Sure.
If you could, this last two right here.
Sure.
If you could go back to the version of Tom Swank who was just starting his recovery journey, knowing everything you know now on the other side of the table, what would you tell him?
I wouldn't tell him anything. I wouldn't tell him anything. I won't want to spoil the surprise, man. Because like, look, man, the experience of going through everything that I went through and gaining everything that I went through, well, I wouldn't replace that feeling for nothing, dude. That feeling of accomplishment for the first time in my life, where I'm like doing things and doing it the right way and it's working and things are working out and my relationships can put back together. I got married, in recovery. I got my first, I'm living in a house that has my name on it. You know what I mean? I got a moped in my driveway. That's mine. I didn't see that damn thing.
You didn't let go. You didn't look. I see you did not let the moped die.
No, it's a passion of mine. It's just, I know it's a stupid thing. It's just something I really enjoy.
That's you.
And it's a part of my.
You used to talk about it, didn't you? You used to drive it up there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything I have, I've earned. So I wouldn't tell him anything. I think if I'm at the beginning of this journey, there ain't nothing to say. I would just stand back and maybe I'd whisper to him like, "You ain't gonna believe it, dude. You won't believe me if I tell you. Just go."
Okay, so this is the last one. When it's all said and done, and your chapter is fully written, what do you want the ultimate legacy of your work and your story for your community to be?
Man, I just want to be known as somebody that was, honest, open, relatable. Obviously, like you've even said, like I've affected your recovery. And if that's what I leave behind for 1-2 people, then I've done what I'm supposed to do. I didn't go into this thing thinking like, what mark can I leave? Because I don't want to set that bar so high that I can't reach it. I'm just going to go out every day, be who I am, interact with people. And I hope I make a difference.
I resonate with that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to set this whole thing up and then feel like I'm a failure if I don't hit the bar that I set for myself. So I just keep the bar right here. It's always in my eye line. It's always within reach. I'm just going to do what I can and try to help people. And if they take the help, great. If they don't, okay, I'm always here. Hey, hey, you fuck up and you got to go, we'll come back, man. And I've told people that. Like, we let people mess up. They got to go back to rehab. And I just tell them, like, hey, man, when you're done, come back here, dude. We got you. I'm not trying to change the world, man. Really, I'm just trying to get through my shit, heal as much as I can. And by me healing, I hope that I can help at least 1 or 2 people, even if it's just get through through today. It gets you here till tomorrow. If I've done that, then I'm done what I'm supposed to do. I can't take too much responsibility, for people's successes and failures. So I just hope that, whatever interaction I have with a person, that has a positive effect. That's all I hope.
Thank you for being here today.
Of course.
For real. Yeah. I'm about to give you a hug.
Absolutely.
This is my favorite episode. It's probably going to come out in like a month or 2.
Okay.
I'm going to study this one. And you're going to be pleased with how it come out. But thank you again for real for making the time to come do this because you ain't have to. I just took like 2 hours of your time. I got to hurry up and go get on the highway. I'm getting blown up. But another episode of Up2SumTv podcast. We got Tom Swank in the building. Shout out to him and his lovely lady because without her, I wouldn't have him. We gone, y'all.
Hey, thanks for having me.